a cut there? Okay, we'll put a Band-Aid on it. So you've got the two extremes in my household, which was fun. But hyposensitivity, these are the kids that are filthy. They're always in, you know, any kind of substance out on the playground. These are the kids that are always seeking tactile input. The ones walking down the hallway touching the wall. Are they doing that because they're bad? Or are they doing that to get the sensory stimulation to get their system either wound up or down, whatever they need? I'd love to have a touch wall. I'm going to talk to the principal about that. Having a touch wall where you can touch here. And we're going to put different textures on it, hopefully, if he agrees to it. Where they can go down and touch the wall. And it's okay. But not so it's getting it all dirty. And then the hypersensitivity, these are the ones that their clothes are bugging them. This is me, my tag. Oh, I had a cute prickly ball to put in. If you ever, I can't stand tags. To me, they feel like little razors cutting me. So the kids that can't, they're always doing this and fussing until finally they're ripping the tag out of their shirt. Or yeah, cutting. I mean, I go through and take all my tags out. Now I try to get a lot of the shirts that don't have the tags in it. It drives me crazy. Or new underwear. You know how they're not all soft yet? I'll wash them about 10 times until they get all soft.
Some of the new shirts have that stamp.
Yes, I love those
things. That can bother some people too.
Because it's sticky on their back.
I have to cover it with an adhesive-like thing to make it smooth for my daughter.
Wow.
Otherwise, she will refuse to wear a brand new shirt.
Wow, I've never heard
Even
anybody
though she loves the shirt.
that has that sensitive. So that tells you right there. And I'm not saying your child's not normal, but that is.
It's okay, we've talked.
I mean, that is a system that is hypersensitive. Now imagine going through your day in a sense of hypersensitive. You know those days where your kids are absolutely horrible, and by the end of the day you're like this. Imagine going through that all day long.
There was a little boy that couldn't stand the seam on the top of the sock.
Yes, that was my son.
How can you even
You're right.
feel that?
Right. We have to go to the store to get socks so we can make sure the seam is in the right place. As parents, honor it as much as you can, because it is truly, they're not just being brats. It is truly bothering them, and we want to set them up so they can learn. You know, a lot of that is not anything you have control about being their teacher. Impaired vestibular system. This is the kid who's always the daredevil, who's always going, moving, constantly. This was me, except I fell all the time too, so not a very coordinated person. But this is the kid that they're all wound up and you can put them in your chair.
Which is really a bad chair.
This chair is horrid. It tilts way so far forward that it's crazy. But anyway, you can put them in your chair and you can spin them. If this is the kid who can't focus in your classroom, and you can spin them one way 10 times and spin them the other way 10 times and spin them back, and it may not be enough for them. They may need a lot more, but just trying to come up with things that you can do in the classroom. Or a mini trampoline. One of our teachers here has therapy balls. You guys have seen therapy balls you can exercise with, where they can bounce on those. They actually have chairs that are the shape of therapy balls, but they have like little fingers that stick out the bottom to keep it in place so the kid's not rolling all over the place. Or even one of the students at the school were trying a office chair. Because my son, when he sits and does homework at night, hopefully I won't fall out of this thing, and he does this. Now what if I could do this? What if you had this in your classroom? Is this as bad as somebody walking around, jumping, hey, making all kinds of noise? If we could just put them in a chair and they could rock back and forth. And every kid is different. It doesn't mean it's going to work for your child. So these are the kids that are all over the place. Their hands are fidgeting. They're shaking their hands. But why are they doing it? Because they're bad? No, they're doing it because they're trying to regulate a messed up sensory system. And you will see, I feel like I see doing this for 20 years. But also, when I was 16, I was volunteering at a school for severely autistic kids and was there forever working with them. And I totally lost that train of thought.
You're working with the autistic children.
Well, let me-
early in your career?
Oh, trying to think of how many years I've been doing stuff, so. Since I was 16, basically,
Would
and I'm,
would this
45.
be would it be in the same family, OCD or sensory deprivation disorder? Is that the same thing as this?
I think it would all be on the same,
Okay.
you know how you have those little lines of, here's, autism, and here's ADHD, and here's OCD, and they're all very close to each other.
I have a question. Are some of these, obviously, on the spectrum, some children and adults show more symptoms than others. So if you're dealing with these, is there a point where if you meet their need and let them swivel in their chair, let them stand to work on things, that you can slowly get them to where this is no longer a problem?
That's a
Is
very, yeah, that is
is that
definitely possible. The earlier we do it, the better.
So it's not something that is stuck with them for their whole life. Some
Hopefully,
children can learn to
Mostly
compensate
what they learn is coping skills.
for okay.
My coping skill in college was, I would go and take notes. I have a very hard time paying attention. I'm chewing the gum, taking the notes, bopping around in my chair, and also I would record every single, lecture. And then I would go back home, redo my notes as I'm listening to the lecture again, stopping my tape, rewinding. I learned coping skills to get through this, you know, to get through not being able to sit and listen and, you know, but in high school, I mean, I graduated college on the dean's list, but in high school, I had B's and C's, D's, because I was the bad kid. I remember my counselor told me that, kids like you don't go to college. So I didn't at first, cause kids like me don't go to college. Well, I'm not stupid, I just couldn't pay attention, you know, I just couldn't tune in. And you know, besides having and then add to that, you know, a poor home life, add to that poor nutrition, you know what I mean, add to that all these other things that kids have, Lord, it's amazing they can.
Can I add something, Gina?
Yeah.
I recently read a book and it's called Boy That Was Raised as a Dog. And it's a really great psychologist, and he goes through a lot of experience with these kids that were deprived at a very early age, and then they add in the massage and all these kinds of things, and it brings them up to their level. But you have to go back and see, okay, emotionally they're at this age, here chronologically they're at this age, and you have to treat them at those different levels, and then that helps to bring them as a whole person.
That's cool. I'd like to read that, I'll get that name. What's the name of it again?
The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog. I have the copy of it.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
There's a lot of other studies that are coming out about children that are premature,
Yes, that's a huge one.
C-sections, that don't get that last tight squeeze. They don't get that chance to get that proprioception in the womb.
Kids
That
that are,
vestibular, they don't have enough time to spin around and get everything all in line. And
and there's a new study linking ADHD with kids that are induced,
mhm.
you know, that, yeah.
Even before, wow.
What?
I said even before they were born.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Your sensory processing in your vestibular system and your
The vestibular and the
all-
auditory system are the first systems
Right.
that develop. So imagine if your vestibular and your auditory, which feeds everything else, gets messed up because whatever reason, you're premature. Your mom goes on bed rest and you don't get the movement while she's in here. Well, you know, while you're in here, she's not moving.
I didn't
Or
know that.
drugs. I mean, we see a lot more drugs, and drugs, oh.
let's not go there, let's move
let's
on.
Okay.
pass on that
Pass
one.
on
That could be the next in service.
Okay, hypersensitivity. So these are the kids that need this input. We missed one. There's one missing. Anyway, the other one was hyposensitivity. Those are the kids that are clinging to the banister going down the steps. Those are the kids that, they're scared to get, you'll never see them. If you watch them outside, like this little girl, you watch her outside, she doesn't get on anything. She does not get on any kind of equipment outside. Why? I'm having to think it's her vestibular system is messed up and she cannot handle that input.